Hey, good morning. My name is Brendan Williams, and welcome back to the studio. The word of the day is order. Today, we're returning to the clown painting, but not to paint the clown. We're actually going to be building the world behind him, or the compartment of the truck behind him. And I think that's appropriate. When most of us think about order, we think about organizing what's already in front of us. But order can also begin in places that no one notices. The background, the foundation, the things that quietly support everything else. So today, we're going to see if bringing order to what's behind the subject helps reveal what was there all along. Let's get to painting. But this ain't no painting though. This is a bridge. A bridge to what, you ask? A bridge to ourselves. Now let me show you what this bridge looks like. What in the world? We got a whole thing of paint right there. That was crazy. All right, so it's pretty rainy outside right now. So we gotta turn the lights in the studio on. Now I was talking about order and painting behind and all that stuff and blah 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 and whoop whoop. What in the world was he talking about? So we got this clown hanging out the window. Look at it. Look at that clown hanging out the window. But whoops. What's that one thing I like to say? Something about order. We paint from the back to the front, from the left to the right, from the top to the bottom. Something like that. Well, I done painted this clown hanging out the window and didn't paint the clowns back there behind him. So we're gonna get that right today. All right, this is gonna be the last rig adjustment, I think, I hope, I swear. Here I go, I'm about to adjust the rig one more time. All right, we got this angle because I was looking at the video from yesterday and I was like, man, you can't even see what I'm doing. My hand's in the way. All right, so how did we, just in case this is your first time with us, I'm gonna do the crash course on how we got to this. How is this the bridge? So I had this idea, or actually, my new process goes something like this, and I'm willing to share this process because I feel that it demystifies art and helps increase understanding. Well, I guess that's what demystifying is. All right, so boom, we start with this. Basic symbols, right? And this is symbols of self-worth. So we got the mass on the left, right? And then we have the triangle alone pointing to a very specific point, right? This is where I stand. It's kind of like in contrast to the mass. But that's level one. So then level two, this is more like level 3, honestly. This is like 2.5. Let's call this 2.5 because this is an image. All right, I had this idea come to me and it was like, hey, remember when you were a kid and you saw all of them clowns popping out of the Volkswagen? What would that look like? What would that look like? What could that look like? So I took that image that I just showed you and I threw it in the robot. I threw it in the chat and it was like, hey, it could look something like this. And I agreed. Now, this is why I'm okay with that. I still had to paint this painting. I still had to translate this truck into space. I still had to manage the canvas. All right, and art doesn't happen. I'm sorry. The art, the stuff that people go, ooh, he's such a great artist. That doesn't happen at level 2. And level 2 being the image of art, right? I mean, for some artists it does, like That is the extent of their art, and good, good. You make beautiful things. Beautiful things can be made at every level of art. You can be a level 5 artist, right? A master of art. And the images that, and ultimately the art that you produce is level 1 images, level 1 paintings of level 1 imagery. That's got to make some sort of sense. And if it doesn't, then message me. Put it in the comments. That don't make no sense. Oh man, I'm gonna ask for some help here. Hey Ollie. Yeah. Will you run to the back of the car and bring my there's a binder in the back of the car. Will you bring it here? Sure. Thank you, man. All right, so these levels, yeah. And I don't think there's not one level of art that is more prestigious than another. Yes, I've taken some time to learn some skills. That should be respected. Thank you to those that respect it. But at the same time, I don't look at another artist and say, and lift my nose and say, oh, look at this guy. Look at this bloke. He's still a level 1. Perfect. Thank you, Ollie.
You're welcome.
All right, so I got this example and I want to share with you all. And I cheated a little bit. This was like when I was prototyping still, this theory. So we got this, right? We got this. This is like basic shapes, right? Symbols of art. What is this? This is to show someone falling in love. These 3 shapes, right? So this would be like a level 1. Yeah, this is like level 1. We use those 3 shapes, those 3 basic shapes. And then level 2 would be like reproducing those shapes as honestly as we could. Level 3 is turning those shapes and putting them into time and space. Level 4 is going to be translating those geometric shapes into real objects and seeing how those objects relate to one another. Level 5 is going to be deciding when and what is necessary at what level. Man, we done did 10 minutes of talking, bro, and ain't done no painting. I put one big blob in the back. Let me shut up. Oh my goodness. Let's paint, bro. We didn't come in here to talk about levels of art. We came in here to paint. And of course, I ain't gonna talk about painting. I don't even want to talk about painting. Not today. Not based off of what's going on in my life. Oh man. I want to talk about what's going on in my life. Because it's kind of funny. I went and played basketball yesterday. I was out there getting it. We won our first game. It was a little bit of a nail biter. People was holding their breath. I could hear it. I knew we was gonna win. I knew we were gonna win. Then we make it to the second game. We're down, right? The team's got game point. And I'm guarding the little kid. This guy, this kid's got it, right? He's one of those kids where like they playing with the grown men, but I mean, he's a kid, but he's ready to play with a grown man. They got game point, right? He's got the ball. I've got him trapped in the corner. Well, not trapped, but he doesn't have good position. He doesn't. He's in the corner. I'm playing some like locked in defense. I'm locked in. I'm on him like white on rice. He goes to hit me with his move. He goes something like, it was like a right to left. He's left-handed. Then he hit me with then he pulled back. He pulled back between his legs. And then he went to fake a drive. I mean, I'm on him, y'all. I'm on him. And I knew it was a fake drive. He creates contact. And then I accept the contact, thinking I got him. I'm thinking I got him right here. And then he did something I wasn't quite ready for. He pushed. With his offhand, he pushed off. And like, I've made it to the point that my knees can only take so much, right? If my own body weight be testing that boundary sometimes. So when he pushed off into me, the next move that he did after that just was the nail in the coffin for me. I planted to go with him, but as I planted, my knee said, I fell to the ground and I couldn't get up. And I'm sure to many, it looked like, oh, he got him. He crossed him up. He drove to the basket and he bricked it. So I know I had him D'd up. I had him D'd up even after I was down and hurt. I almost got the rebound from the ground, bro. Y'all probably like, whatever. We came here to paint. All right, so let's talk about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So this part of the truck, this part of the clown car is in the shade. All right, and when we paint, we always kind of want to paint. We kind of want to like follow certain rules. One of those rules is if the object is in the dark, the first color you put down is black. All right, if the object is in the light, the first color you put down is white. And that one's pretty straightforward, right? If you can follow that rule, if you can remember that rule, you'll always, anytime you paint, anytime you color, you'll always have your lights on in the right positions. You won't have like this mysterious random spot in your painting where it's like, is that object in the back or is it in the front? You can't tell because the colors are off one way or another. Helps with spacing, helps with translation. That is level 4 information. Now, something you'll notice is that, or something I want you to notice is that I am not pressing in on these clowns. I'm not pressing in on these clowns. Why? They're here for support. They are the choir. They are not the lead. You know, the choir, you want one voice, one sound. One band, one sound. We've got a star clown in this painting, right? And I promise you the star is not on the bus. Therefore, these other clowns, they get like very gestural treatment, right? We're gonna paint them until the moment we know that they're a clown. Anything more than that is unnecessary. How are we doing on time? Because I know I spent a whole lot of time talking already. 16 minutes, all right. That means we got enough time to still have a little bit of fun, yeah? So this guy's got a hat, right? Or I'm gonna give him a hat at the very least. But I can't paint this hat until I've painted the stuff that the hat is covering up. Otherwise, what will end up happening is I'll end up like trying to paint around an object. And that's just the worst. You end up with like continuity issues. You end up with like vibration issues. So it's better to just, like, if you know like, I knew I wasn't finished with this hat, right? So instead of like finishing this hat and then like trying to like dance around it, it's better to just paint behind it, even though you know you're gonna cover it up. You know, there's also this part about paintings that is also sculpturesque, right? It's like a micro sculpture. So that's something that you want, you gotta respect. It's something that you should and you gotta respect. Because if, you know, let's say you got some objects in the foreground, but the paint but the paint in your background is thicker than the objects in your foreground, it's not gonna make sense. Excuse me. Especially if you're trying to paint things realistically. Gotta have your order right. There is nowhere in life when anyone is happy about things being out of order. This bathroom is out of order. This food that I just ordered from the restaurant is out of order. No. Is that what did I say that right? This food that I just ordered from the restaurant was the wrong order. I ordered something the other day. Food was great. I promise you it was. But I asked for steak, and I'm absolutely positive that they brought me pork. I don't know if it was them testing me, but I accepted it. But I wasn't as happy. You know, and what's true with me and my steak pork is probably also true with you. And your paintings. You know, so if you're painting with me, go ahead and check your order. Sorry, y'all, had to hit pause there. We got about 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. You gotta make it count. You gotta try to make it count at least. There's only one way to do that. Paint. I think we're making some progress. I think we got space to put in, like, you know, the suggestion of more faces back here. You know, I'm not saying that we need to be able to see them. Oops. But like, let's say this is the furthest most back. Furthest most back? I don't know about that in English. Yeah, me talking about I don't know about that English. Oh Lord, what is going on in there? What are you trying to do?
Get my vitamins.
Get your vitamins, okay.
I got the old ones because Mom got a new pack.
Okay. Yes, get your vitamins, child. See, this is some of what I was talking about. You don't want your background thicker than your foreground. I'm not quite worried about the door frame yet because we got to paint the stuff that's inside of the door before we paint the door frame, right? All right, I'm gonna put one more clown in here. He's just gonna be like a little half circle. All right. We don't have to see their faces. We just have to know that there's, you know, something or someone there, a piece of someone there. Let the brain do the rest, because, like, I mean, we talked about this. This is oh, you can't see him. This guy right here, he's gonna be the star of the show, and we're gonna paint him last. You know, I know a lot of the times we want to do the easy stuff first, and it makes a lot of sense to do the easy stuff first. But in the case of this painting, we are reserving our energy for the star of the show. So I guess all in all, yeah, maybe it is. It's definitely easier to paint a blob, an undefined blob, than it is to paint the star of a show. Right. But I don't think that's enough. You know, his face is hanging out, and his face is out in the light. So he's got to get some information, right? He's gonna need more information than what we gave him. You know, one of the things that I do find pretty interesting is how the modes switch as you paint. You know, you start your session off and you're all like, man, this needs to be here, that needs to be there. This is too bright, this is too dark. But then by the end of the session, I mean, you're just flowing, right? You're not even thinking about those things anymore. You're not trying to make decisions. You're watching paint move. It's like, who's painting this picture? Oh great heavens, I'm painting this picture. When did I start painting? Oh my goodness, it's been 3 hours? I saw this video, it was pretty funny. I laughed. Oh, I laughed out loud, I think. I couldn't tell how real it was. Doesn't matter. The lady was apparently up late and painting. She was getting it. She was almost done. That's why I don't think it was real. And then her husband comes out of nowhere. He's like, it's 2 a.m. What are you in here doing? Are you in here painting? And then she like hurried up and threw the blanket that was in her lap. Like she tried to hide. Like she just covered herself up with the blanket. I was cracking up. Look, man. If you got somebody in your life like that, man, you gotta let them be, bruh. You gotta let them be. You gotta let them like. Maybe I'm like trying to advocate for myself silently here. Cause I know at 2 a.m. I have so many ideas. And I feel so bad. Because I think my kids got some of that energy as well. And Kitchen 6 likes order. All right, here we go. It's about 25 minutes, right? 28 minutes. Oh my goodness. All right, the prepared closing. As we wrap up today's session, the word of the day was order. I'm gonna give him a big nose. Why not? We talked about getting crossed up in basketball. We talked about the different levels of art, and we spent a little time talking about order. I don't think order is the absence of chaos. I mean, look, we're painting a picture of a clown car. I think it's simply everything standing where it belongs. The funny thing is, the clown hasn't changed much today, but the world around him has changed. Sometimes that's how life works. The person doesn't change first, the world begins making room for who they've been all along. Thank you for spending a little time in the studio with me today. My name is Brendan Williams. We got a monthly magazine that you can find on the website. It's got art, it's got thought, it's got music, it's got experiments. You can find that at the website, and that's www.riteoutdabox.com, rightoutthebox.com. If you're looking for the highlights, you can find me on Instagram, instagram.com/BEEDOUBLEHUE. ART / BW Art on Instagram. All right, until, I don't know. Tomorrow's going to be hit or miss. We might be here, we might not. Sunday, teaching the veterans class. So it's probably going to be Monday that we are back in the studio together painting. Y'all be blessed until then. Peace.